Hey guys, welcome back to Car Sizes Crafts. Today I'm going to begin this model, and I will just show you a few pieces put together. What I like to do when I first unbox the model is I take a look at the instructions and see how they have them set up, and I match the position of how they are to how they are in the instructions. Then I like to get a Sharpie and write on there like A, B, so on. That way I know exactly which one is which when I go to look at them, because you will mix them up after moving them around and getting pieces off them. So here I just got A and a weird B because I started to write C. Alright, so they're all numbered, so we're going to go with number 1 here, which is this skull. It tells you what we're going to do is we're going to bend it, and then we're going to twist it to kind of be rounded a little bit, then add part 2 to it to give you the base of the skull. Now, I do a loose rounding of them first, and then I'll add that piece and form it to that piece so it will look better. So you see these little triangle pieces are the pieces where you cut off. These rounded pieces, you want to make sure that you keep those, because those are what are going to attach those pieces to the other ones. So just take my snips and I cut as close as I can so I don't have any burrs that'll be a sharp edge. Follow them all the way around until you get your piece out. It'll look like that. And so you have a non-etched side, which is nice and smooth with all my fingerprints, and the etched side, which has all the lines invisible. That's the side that you want to keep out. And then I'll just take my bending tool. Either take your bending tool and slide your piece in there and bend it that way, or if you just have flat nose pliers or just your little needle nose, even tweezers you can take just to bend your piece the way you need it to. I typically use tweezers a lot when I'm doing smaller pieces. I like to use that. Here, if I could stay in camera and focus. Then I take my rounding tools, which I have here, and I'll just lightly bend them around. Just a slight bend. You don't need a huge bend on these, not to begin with. Just kind of loosely round out the skull, and then set this here and get part number 2, which is right over here. This one right here. We will bend. They have crease lines right there, right through here. So we're going to bend that this way, so we still have this edge side up and that side down. Go ahead and bend this You can also use your flat nose pliers for wider spots like this. You take your skull, you find your little slots, like right here, right there. These are going to line up to this one right here. It's harder to do this behind the camera. And stay in focus at the same time. There we go. You get one side in. Then you will take your tab bending tool, which has a small slot on this end, a wider slot on that end. You can also use this for small cones. You take this, and the instructions will say either bend these or twist them. They'll tell you which one you need to do. If the tab is going to be seen, usually you'll bend them just so it looks better than having a tab standing out. Let's bend that there. Bend this one down here. And then, oops. Gotta watch out for them falling back out of the tab sometimes. And not as easy to do this when you're doing it behind a camera. You want to add that to that slot there, that slot there. You bend these to fit there. That's why earlier I said you just loosely bend them so that you'll fit them to the piece that goes in the middle. Here we go. Just like that. That down a little bit, and there you go. And see, you can form the skull to fit your piece. And then sometimes it gets misformed when you're trying to do this, so you just bend them back into shape. These were actually going to curve. Because everybody's jaw curves, even dinosaurs. And we'll bend these together right here. Try to get them both together at the same time so it's easier to bend. Take your pliers and make sure to get a nice tight bend with these. There we go. bite. We'll just kind of twist these back into place a little bit. Trying to get those. I didn't tighten them down tight enough, so. There you go. You got a nice skull. That's pieces one. That's 1 and 2. As they show here, you add piece 2. Then you'll come back and get the jaw and bend it around. Indicated blue is to bend it. Whereas a triangle, you're gonna take your tool and just twist it 90 degrees, just a quarter turn, and that holds it nice and tight. Those are better for internal connections. That way the pieces won't fall apart. It's more of the internal structures, or like here, like for the feet, you'll twist those so they'll stay on the base better, and you won't be able to see them, so it doesn't matter how they look. Whereas here you want to have, we're gonna have nice bends right here, so they're barely visible when you have your model fully put together. And then for now you set that off to the side, and then you work on the next piece. Should be number 3 and 4 right here. You put those together, put together the plate, and then you'll add the skull from your first one, and then you work your way up from there. I like to keep a tray like this in front of me because you're going to make pieces set aside and then come back to them to add to the pieces later. So right now we're going to go ahead and make the spine. And on this one, you're going to have a lot of vertebrae, as shown in the picture here. And to help remember which pieces are which, they have it etched on the side that's going to be sticking out. So we get pieces 4 and 5, 3 and 4, sorry. 5 will be in just a moment. And clip these out real quick. This ridge here will be your spine. So we will conform this to fit this piece here, like that. So we'll have to bend that front part down, bend this around like that, so it curves like that. So what you do is go ahead and bend these into here so you know that the tabs line up correctly. This is usually the hardest part, is to conform it to a weird shape, because if you have a cylinder or a cone, you have tools for that, whereas odd shapes like this, you just kind of bend them around to fit the shape like that. And then you'll want to take either your tab bending tool, your tweezers, your pliers, whichever you prefer. We'll go ahead and we'll bend these down. Sometimes the tweezers are the easiest one to get in there because they're smaller. And when I go to bend these, I usually try to, if I can, push down on the piece and then bend. That way I get a nice secure bend in the piece, and it's nice and secure. Sorry, I had my phone mounted to the table here, so anytime I bump the table, it might shake. I apologize for that. So you just bend these down, or get them started like that. Then I try to come from the flat side and get them nice and secure in there. And you have this one too. So you just take them, bend them down, and see how that's sticking out a little bit. I like make sure to push that all the way in before initiating the bend, and then make sure that's nice and secure in there like that. And there's your one side. And now that this is bent to this, the other side would be a little bit easier because it is already bent to the right way. So we go ahead and you just follow along until you get all the way around and cut every little tab as close as you can. And this is going to go on the opposite side. And see here, this piece here. Yeah, I was looking at it upside down. I thought I did something wrong. And then you put this piece on this side. So you'd see on this side you have letters. That way you know you have numbers on this side, letters on this side, so you know you move them around to the right way. So just confirming that I grabbed the correct one first. Okay, yes. And that way, just like the last piece, just put them in there. Sometimes you gotta just kind of get them to fit in there the right way. Bend them and get them to conform to the way that you need it to go. So, basically, this is what you'll be doing for every metal model, is just moving these pieces around, getting the tabs secure, and making sure that everything is bent to the right way. Because basically you're taking these flat sheets and making them into a 3D model. There we go. Gotta bend them just right to make sure each one, make sure every tab goes through. There we go. Let's see. Now that's bent the right way in there. That's set up in there. Once I get one side in, I go ahead. So you can't do the same thing as you did before because you don't have the extra side. So just gonna have to bend them and push them into place like that. No, I haven't really used the tab bending tool a lot. I've used the tweezers more so far. but they do come in handy. Once you get a decent structure going, they come in a lot handier than the tweezers. It's just with these initial few pieces, it's a lot easier to do it this way. Let's see if that'll go in there. Again, this is a lot more difficult when you're trying to film it, because then you can't just look right into it and get it. There we go. I think that got all of them in line there. That's the biggest time that you spend on this thing, is trying to line it up and getting the tabs just right in there. I have on occasion had to bend the tabs left or right to get them to just fit right, because they weren't quite lined up exactly. Come on. There we go. And in here, you just want to make sure these are kind of push these out a little bit. Which, once you get more pieces attached, these should line up better. Push that down a little bit more. All right, so there's the spine. We need one more piece to finish off this one row of instruction. And how do they want this on here? This does not say etched or non-etched. Usually they have the non-etched side and then etched side. This one does not say, so what I like to do is sometimes look at the picture and see if I can't spot that piece and go from there. Which doesn't look like it really matters, because you won't really see it, so kind of do that, try to get rid of some of the fingerprints. You can also do this while wearing the little finger cots that they look like that. They're just like rubber gloves for just the fingers. That way you don't leave fingerprints. You can do it that way, or you can just do it where you just do it and not worry about it. So with this, I'm going to turn this way. This is going to fold into there. The instructions right here. You're going to hang on. Right there on those lines, those triangles, those will fold down. So you make a nice square to fit those 3 dots right there. So again, for these small ones, I like to use the tweezers. It just makes it easier. What you want to do is, what I like to do is when I bend them, you line one side up with the line. And then when you bend them, you bend it like that, and it's square to the tweezers. When you bend it around, then you have almost a nice square, because the noses of these would be square. Same as if you used your flat nose. You use these, obviously it's not square enough, but if you hold it and twist, it's going to line up to flush. Anyway, moving on. They want the flat part to go down. Oh, almost forgot. This tab here needs to come down. So just take whatever you got, tweezers, tab bending tool, bend that down. You want to take these. Sometimes you bend this down too much. I'll make sure, keep it flush, because sometimes it... Whoa, butterfingers. So, like I said before, like this tab is not completely straight, so you want to kind of keep them straight as best you can. I'm going to twist that back. And they want it to go this way on there. Etched or not etched, it doesn't matter. So we're going to put this onto here. Try to line it up the best you can. Sorry, on the other side of my shop is our outside AC unit, so when it kicks on, you'll most likely hear it. And now, I bent all these, but I didn't read the instructions. See the triangles? These are all supposed to be twisted. So what I like to do is I have this little X-Acto from Dollar Tree. If you look closely, well, I got other stuff on there. But anyway, if you look closely to the edge, it's kind of really marred up because I've been using it for this. See, all I have to do with this, you don't have to undo it all the way. Just pry that back up a little bit. Take your tab bending tool or your tweezers. Line it up. And then just give it a twist. There you go. That, just like that. So it'll be sticking up, which is fine because it's going to be part of the skeleton, and it'll give it a little bit more aesthetic to it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go one at a time. That way I'm not completely taking this piece off. Now when you do this, you do want to go slow because you don't want to break these tabs because they will break on you. This is thin metal. Alright. And I'll do that for every piece down the line. Oh, and this piece here, this other piece that I added, it's going to do the same thing. That's what got me to see that to begin with. See how twisting it just gives it that much more. You line it up on the tab. You can give it a little twist, and that makes it more secure. When they're just folded over, they're not quite as secure. And they sometimes can rattle around. See how I'm doing this? I'm just taking this and lightly getting up underneath and bending it back. Just be real careful not to cut yourself. I'm just barely getting that blade underneath there, just enough to lift it up. Like that. You don't want to do that and wind up cutting yourself. And so since we did that side, we'll do this side too. And you go on down the line. this one was barely even bent anyway. With your tab bending tool, you can, once it's slightly out, you can always bend it out and then twist it. If you can use the tab bending tool to get underneath it, if it's not completely done, you can always use it to bend up. Just kind of pry it up. But usually I have these snug, so I had to go back and bend it up a little bit with that knife. And if I wind up breaking this blade, you know, there's 6 blades total with this, but it was, you know, $1. So if it breaks, I'll go buy another one. All right, all that is done, twisted. See, when you twist them, they all stand up like that. So folding over gives a nice smooth look versus having a bumpy one like that. But since this is going to be the spine right here, that'll be fine. So we have this piece, which is right here. The next thing is to put the skull on there and bend it, and then start putting the vertebrae on there. I am going to go ahead and stop the video here. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of these vertebrae on there. I'm just going to go through and put all these on here until I get to this spot right here. My next video, I'll have all this done, and I'll be starting on this. If I have it on camera, this piece right here. And notice they have it color coded. You got yellow here, you got blue there, because when they label these, see they have all these blues and yellows and pink. They're only going to label it once, and then this one's not labeled, so you know this and this are the same piece. All the blues and all the greens and all the yellows, they're all going to be the same piece across the board over here. So all you need to do is find this is piece 28. So all these green are going to be 28. Same with the blues. You got this piece is 27, and all these, etc. So I'm going to finish this off by putting this skull on here. Now this skull fits on these 4 tabs here. You're going to go on these 4 tabs back here on the back of the skull. So you line, what I like to do is get, if I can, I'll go ahead and get all 4 into this spot. That way I'm not trying to force it in later. Otherwise, I'll just, if it's more convenient and works better, I will go ahead and do one side, and then I know one side's secure, so I do the other. And here we're going to go ahead and take these and fold these tabs down. The way, which side you fold them, left or right, it doesn't matter. Usually, there are times where it holds the piece better if you go one way or the other. But generally, it's just whichever way looks the best to you and is easiest for you to get. And there you go. And they're nice and folded in. These right here, those are folded in there. And now you got the T-Rex. Alright, so I'm going to leave this piece out because this is going to be the next. Let's see. This is facing down, so it should face down a little bit. See, there's a little gap right there. Right in there. Come on. Oops. Bumping the camera. Sorry. There's a little gap right in there. So you want to make sure that this is bent down. So now that's how that's going to look. You can see the bend. Alright. Y'all have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next video.